All right, okay. Close your eyes for just a second. Now, picture something super common, something you probably handled loads of times without even thinking, let's say. A latex glove. Seems pretty simple, right? Maybe, what, a few dollars per box? Okay, now, what if I told you the global market for these kind of unassuming things isn't just a few bucks, but actually billions? And it's set for some, well, surprisingly steady growth over the next decade or so. Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're diving into the honestly fascinating world of the global latex gloves market. And this isn't just about hospitals. It's a really dynamic industry. It reaches into manufacturing, food service, all sorts of places. Our insights for this particular deep dive, they come straight from the Global Latex Gloves Market Report 2021-2033, which was provided by Cognitive Market Research. So our mission today is basically to unbox these numbers, find the key insights, understand the trends, and just reveal the frankly surprising scale of this whole industry. Think of this as your shortcut, maybe. A way to get quickly up to speed on a market you might never have even considered before. Okay, so let's unpack this. Starting right at the top, the big picture. You might be kind of surprised to hear the global latex gloves market had sales revenue of over $11 billion. That was back in 2021. To be exact, it was $11.07 billion, which is just a huge number to start with. But it doesn't stop there. The report projects it'll grow to over, let's see, $12.3 billion in 2025. And then it makes a pretty significant leap to over $15.3 billion by 2033. Now, this means a compound annual growth rate, the CAGR, of about 2.75%, which basically means the market's growing by roughly that percentage each year on average. So yeah, we're talking a multi-billion-dollar market that's not just big, but it's consistently expanding. What is that steady growth? What does it tell you about like global demand or maybe changing needs?
Well, what's truly fascinating here, I think, isn't just the sheer scale, but that really consistent projected growth. We're talking over a whole decade.
Yeah.
And if you connect that to the bigger picture, it strongly suggests deeply embedded and actually expanding uses for these gloves across a surprising range of sectors. This isn't just some temporary surge.
Right.
It points towards more fundamental shifts in like global practices. And that raises a really important question. If the whole pie is getting bigger, where exactly is that growth really coming from? Because these global numbers, they're definitely driven by very specific regional demands and economic forces.
And that's exactly where we should go next, right? The regional deep dive. Let's unpack these markets.
Okay, so if you want to understand the real engine of this market, you got to look at Asia Pacific. It's not just leading, it's a behemoth that's kind of dictating the global trends here. Back in 2021, its revenue was already over $6.4 billion. And it's projected to hit nearly $7.3 billion in 2025, and then just surge to an incredible $9.3 billion by 2033. It really is the powerhouse. Yeah, and within Asia Pacific, the numbers really do highlight the key players. By 2033, China is projected to lead. We're talking a massive $2.5 billion market just for China. Japan follows that, expected to reach over $1.6 billion. And it's really important to note India, too, because it shows significant growth. It's forecast to hit almost $1.5 billion. That's quite a jump.
Wow, yeah.
Then you've got South Korea contributing over $1.1 billion, and Australia kind of rounds out the major players at nearly $500 million. But, it's not just those big names. The report also points to other growing markets like Singapore, Southeast Asia as a whole region, and Taiwan. It shows this widespread, really robust demand across the entire area. It does make you wonder what specific industries or maybe shifts in healthcare are fueling such huge demand over there.
That dominance in Asia Pacific is just, yeah, it's astounding. So, okay, what about North America then? What's the picture look like there? It's not as dominant as Asia Pacific, obviously, but it's still a very significant player, right?
Oh, absolutely. Still very important.
Its total market is set to grow from nearly $1.5 billion in 2021 to over $1.7 billion by 2033. And within North America, it's the United States leading the charge. It's projected to hit over $1.4 billion by 2033.
Makes sense.
Following that, we see Canada at nearly $180 million and Mexico contributing around $140 million. So still substantial figures.
Definitely. Okay, so moving across the Atlantic, Europe. Europe presents a more stable, kind of consistent market picture. It's expected to expand from almost $1.3 billion in 2021 to nearly $1.6 billion by 2033. So steady growth. And when you look at the key countries there, Germany is forecast to reach over $330 million by 2033. The United Kingdom is around $270 million, and France over $190 million.
Okay.
But the market also stretches, right across the continent. You see notable contributions from places like Italy, Russia, Spain, The Nordic nations too, Sweden, Denmark, even Switzerland and Luxembourg are mentioned. So it really demonstrates a broad European demand, probably driven by, established healthcare systems and pretty strong industrial safety standards already in place.
Right, that makes sense. And what about South America? You mentioned that region is showing pretty impressive growth, maybe indicating some evolving medical or industrial practices down there.
Exactly. That's a good way to put it. The total market there is projected to rise from just over $900 million in 2021 to more than $1.3 billion by 2033.
Okay.
Brazil is clearly the largest player there. It's expected to reach nearly $450 million by 2033, with Argentina following at almost $240 million.
Mm.
And you also see other key contributors like Colombia, Peru, and Chile. It really highlights a kind of widespread need for these products right across the continent.
Interesting. Okay, so what's left? The Middle East.
Yeah, the Middle East is another really fascinating area. It's emerging as a maybe surprisingly significant market,
Hmm.
especially when you consider the rapid development happening in many sectors there. It's forecast to grow from around $730 million in 2021 to over $1 billion by 2033. So crossing that $1 billion mark, Saudi Arabia leads this growth with projections of nearly $290 million by 2033. Turkey follows that at over $210 million. Then you have the UAE at around $127 million and Egypt at over $140 million. Qatar also contributes meaningfully. It suggests, a growing focus on hygiene and safety in various industries across the region.
Right. Okay, and finally, that leaves Africa. You mentioned it's smaller in scale, but still showing a developing presence.
That's right. It's smaller, but definitely a developing and steadily growing presence. The total market there is set to increase from around $230 million in 2021 to over $330 million by 2033.
Okay, not insignificant growth.
No, definitely not. And within Africa, Nigeria and South Africa are the main contributors mentioned. Nigeria is projected to reach over $50 million and South Africa over $140 million by 2033. It's a pretty clear indication, I think, that even in developing economies, the importance of these, essential items is recognized and definitely growing.
So, okay, let's pause here. What does this all mean for you listening in? It's genuinely fascinating, isn't it? To see how something as, well, seemingly simple as a latex glove can actually reflect such different economic and industrial patterns all over the globe. Each of these regions, with their unique growth rates, their dominant countries, it paints a really vivid picture of local needs, changing health standards, economic drivers. What stands out to you when you hear these numbers? Is it just the sheer scale, or maybe the rapid growth in places you didn't expect?
Yeah, it's more than just numbers, isn't it? This analysis of market values, the growth projections across continents. It really shines a light on global economic activity and demand trends that, might otherwise just go unnoticed. And this is where it gets really interesting, I think. Every single one of those numbers represents a decision somewhere. It represents a need, a supply chain moving. It indicates evolving standards in, say, healthcare or industrial safety, maybe even just everyday hygiene, but happening differently all over the world. It's almost like a silent, steady revolution in how we approach protection and sanitation globally. That's a great way to put it. So as we wrap up this deep dive, it's really clear the global latex gloves market is, it's far from some small niche industry. We've seen its consistent multi-billion-dollar growth. The Asia-Pacific region is firmly in the driver's seat. But there's also steady, significant expansion across North America, Europe, South America, the Middle East, and Africa too. I mean, who knew a humble glove could tell us so much about the world economy?
Yeah, we really hope this exploration has given you a unique shortcut sort of to understanding a pretty vital, yet, let's be honest, often overlooked global industry. It's kind of a testament to how these specialized market reports can quickly make you well-informed on some really surprising topics, maybe far beyond what you normally look into.
Absolutely. So maybe here's a thought to kind of chew on as we finish. Given this really consistent global growth and demand for latex gloves, what broader implications could we maybe infer from that? Are we talking about shifts in global healthcare access, or maybe industrial safety standards becoming more universal? Or is it even just about general hygiene practices worldwide kind of leveling up? Are we actually seeing a permanent sort of elevation in these standards, maybe driven by recent global events, or is it something else entirely? And, what other seemingly mundane everyday items might actually be part of another massive growing global market that we simply haven't bothered to look into yet? Something to think about. Welcome to the Deep Dive. We take a whole stack of sources, pull out the really crucial insights, and basically give you a shortcut to being genuinely well-informed.
Uh-huh.
Today, we're plunging into an industry that, well, it's everywhere, but often totally unnoticed. We're talking about the global latex gloves market.
Right.
Now, it might seem like just a simple product, right? A
Yeah.
glove. But underneath, there's this fascinating mix of innovation, supply chain challenges, and, critical global health issues.
That's absolutely right. And the analysis we're drawing on today, it comes straight from the experts at Cognitive Market Research.
Okay.
So this isn't just guesswork, it's verified intelligence about the real strategic shifts happening in this vital industry.
So our mission here is pretty clear.
Yeah,
We want to unpack the key drivers pushing this market, the big things holding it back, the restraints, and those critical emerging trends that are really changing the game.
exactly.
Okay, let's get into it. Let's unpack this often overlooked hero of hygiene. So what's actually fueling this huge global demand for latex gloves?
Well, the foundation, no question, has always been the healthcare and medical sector.
Right, makes sense.
Yeah, latex gloves are just indispensable. Think hospitals, diagnostic labs, dental offices, surgical centers. It's all down to strict hygiene protocols and infection control standards.
Okay.
But here's maybe the deeper insight. The post-pandemic world, it didn't just boost demand, it fundamentally reshaped the global supply chains. It cemented PPE as, non-negotiable in everyday healthcare.
Ah, interesting. So not just more demand, but a different kind of demand system.
Precisely. It forced this rapid diversification, localization of manufacturing that, frankly, few saw coming, and that quietly shifted power dynamics across continents, all for something as basic as a glove.
That's a really crucial distinction, whole system re-engineering. But I suspect that the demand isn't just in clinical settings anymore. I mean, where else are we seeing this need?
Oh, absolutely. Beyond healthcare, there's been a significantly heightened awareness of personal hygiene and workplace safety, and it stretches across a surprising number of industries.
Likely.
Well, think about food handling, for instance, janitorial services,
Hmm.
industrial assembly lines, even the beauty salon industry, which is growing.
Right.
In all these places, gloves aren't just, nice to have, they're a critical barrier. They prevent cross-contamination, ensure safety for workers and consumers.
Okay.
And this widespread use, it's been heavily reinforced by government mandates and pretty strict employer regulations. So wearing gloves is just standard practice now in many fields.
So it's this mix of health needs, safety rules, and maybe even what customers expect now.
Exactly.
And how do global growth and economic factors fit in? Are some regions becoming real hotspots for demand?
Definitely. We're seeing incredibly strong demand coming out of emerging economies, particularly across the Asia-Pacific and Latin America.
Why there specifically?
Well, these countries are pouring huge investments into healthcare infrastructure,
Yep.
into public sanitation programs, and also expanding their own manufacturing bases. And all that investment naturally creates a surge in demand for essential items like latex gloves. What's really interesting is how urbanization and rising incomes are playing a role, too.
How so?
They're making affordable PPE, like latex gloves, much more accessible and, well, much more in demand for a growing population that's also becoming more health conscious.
Okay, so we've got these undeniable forces pushing the market forward. It sounds like relentless growth.
It seems that way, yes.
But, every booming industry has its weak spots, the sort of hidden issues that can really change things. What's the biggest challenge facing latex glove makers right now?
You've hit on a really critical point there. A major hurdle, and it's more than just a footnote, is the issue of allergic reactions. Sensitivities to latex proteins.
The latex allergy issue.
Right,
Okay.
exactly. These reactions can range from, mild skin irritation right up to severe, even life-threatening responses in some people.
That's serious.
It is, and it's not just a health concern. It's become a major strategic issue. It's driven this huge multi-billion-dollar R&D race for synthetic alternatives, things like nitrile or vinyl gloves.
So it's forcing innovation in materials.
Absolutely. This race is fundamentally changing the chemistry and the performance of everyday protective wear, and it's significantly hitting latex glove sales in those sensitive sectors, like healthcare especially.
That's a huge impact, reshaping the very materials we depend on.
Okay, beyond health concerns, what about the supply chain itself? Or wider economic vulnerabilities? You mentioned how concentrated the raw material supply is.
Yes, that's another critical and often underestimated vulnerability. We're dealing with, frankly, considerable volatility in natural rubber prices.
Right, the raw material for latex.
Exactly. And it's sourced mainly from plantations in just a few countries, primarily Thailand and Malaysia.
Okay, so very concentrated. Very. And that concentration means things like severe weather events, floods, droughts, or even political instability, or, new trade restrictions in those specific regions can cause massive price swings.
Wow.
And that directly hammers the profit margins for glove manufacturers who need that steady supply. It creates a genuine strategic risk for the entire global supply chain.
So a major crop failure or political issue there could potentially cause global shortages, even for gloves.
Potentially, yes, it creates significant ripple effects.
Okay. And finally, with all this demand, and let's face it, most gloves being single-use, what about the environmental side? What kind of burden does this put on waste management?
Yeah, that's becoming a growing and quite complex issue. Environmental concerns, waste disposal, it's a big topic.
I bet.
While natural latex is biodegradable, sort of, to a degree, the sheer volume of discarding gloves is massive, especially from medical and industrial fields.
Right, the scale must be enormous.
It really is. And it adds significantly to waste management burdens globally. Improper disposal isn't just an environmental risk. It can also be a biohazard risk. So this isn't just about landfill space. The volume of single-use PPE has really sparked this intense debate, especially in the medical world, about things like sterile reprocessing or finding truly biodegradable alternatives that still offer the same protection.
A tough balancing act.
It really is. It's complex. You've got material science, public health, regulations all bumping up against each other, and it's definitely leading to more scrutiny of single-use PPE.
That ties a lot together: geopolitics, material science, environment.
Okay, let's pivot a bit. Let's talk about the trends that are actively reshaping this landscape. What innovations are coming directly out of these pressures we've discussed?
Well, these challenges, especially the allergy issue and the regulatory pressure, they're precisely why we're seeing such rapid innovation.
Right, necessity being the mother of invention.
Kind of, yeah. The market's really seeing a big shift towards powder-free and also chlorinated latex gloves. Okay, why those specifically?
It's not just about comfort, though that's part of it. It's a direct response to regulatory pressure and, frankly, a more litigious environment around healthcare safety.
Risk management.
Exactly. Manufacturers basically have to innovate or risk being left behind. These powder-free and chlorinated types, they significantly cut the risk of allergic reactions, and they meet much tougher hospital rules.
And the benefits for the user.
They're smoother, they're easier to put on, much more skin-friendly. So they're becoming the preferred choice, almost the standard, in both healthcare and many industrial settings now.
That sounds like a pretty fundamental shift in the product itself. Now, what's fascinating here is how technology is playing a role not just in the materials, but in the actual making of the gloves. Are we seeing big steps forward there?
Oh, absolutely. There's ongoing technological progress that's really revolutionizing glove production.
Such as
Manufacturers are bringing in advanced automation, integrating improved dipping technology, sometimes multi-layer polymer dipping, and using real-time quality checks all along the production line.
Okay, and what does that mean for the actual glove?
Well, what it means in practice is they can engineer gloves that are thinner, yet somehow also much more durable.
Thinner and stronger. How does that work?
Well, for example, some breakthroughs allow for tiny variations in thickness across different parts of the glove.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, like a reinforced palm for better grip and puncture resistance, but maybe a thinner fingertip area for better tactile sensitivity. Essentially engineering a smart glove, almost, tailored for specific jobs.
Wow.
This level of precision, it just wasn't really possible a decade ago. It hugely improves user comfort, grip, flexibility, and that's crucial in really high precision areas like labs or surgery.
That really does sound like a game changer, especially for professionals needing that touch sensitivity. Okay, lastly, how is the competitive landscape changing, particularly in newer regions because of all these forces?
Right, the competitive structure. We're seeing really significant growth in private label and OEM, that's original equipment manufacturer production, particularly in emerging markets.
So not just the big established brands anymore.
Not exclusively, no. And this isn't just about finding cheaper production. It actually signals a kind of strategic unbundling of the manufacturing process.
What do you mean by unbundling?
It allows global brands to scale up quickly in specific regions. They can leverage local expertise, maybe even get around import tariffs sometimes.
Oh. Okay.
So as global demand keeps surging, you've got local players jumping into the market. They're offering customized products, their own private branding, and often using highly cost-effective manufacturing methods.
And where is this most noticeable?
We're seeing it quite clearly across Southeast Asia and also in parts of Africa. Competitive pricing and strong domestic production are really opening up completely new paths for market expansion, and it's gradually shifting the global manufacturing footprint.
Well, there you have it. That was quite the journey through the latex gloves market. It's really fascinating how this seemingly humble item, the latex glove, something we probably take for granted,
Absolutely.
remains such a critical line of defense in hospitals, sure, but even in households, in this increasingly health-conscious world, it really captures so many global forces in one product.
It really does. And that leads to maybe a final provocative thought for you, the listener, to chew on.
Okay.
How will this relentless drive for innovation and safety in essential PPE, like latex gloves, how will it continue to navigate this massive growing global demand while also tackling those really pressing environmental concerns and the undeniable need for more sustainable practices? Can we actually have both, top-tier safety and sustainability? Or are we going to see a fundamental shift, a redefinition of what a disposable product even means in the future?
That is a lot to think about, a really crucial question. Well, thank you for joining us for this deep dive. We hope it makes you think a little differently about the everyday things that protect us and all the complex forces shaping their world.